So this is, first of all, I'm going to show you a few pictures. I got a few books here. The earthquake. Actually, you can see it's like they kept, messing with the magnitude of it. This is 6.8. I think this came out in 1994 too. It's like, and this, and then this was the 6.6 earthquake. They said that's what they were saying. It was 6.6. This one doesn't have a thing, but this is also an interesting book, 431, which is the time of the earthquake. And a bunch of people. It's like this got some interesting pictures of like what happened to some people. It's like I just had a picture here of somebody that was in a hospital bed. How many people were? A lot of people were injured. They said approximately 60 people died. I think it was really more than that. Anyway, so the Dave Rosenthal part of the story is that he couldn't. I didn't think about some of the stuff. I didn't think about until years later, many years later, and then actually more recent, years. He must have been really panicked because he couldn't get a hold of me. He couldn't call me. Because the phone lines were dead, the electricity was out during the earthquake, and he actually told me afterwards that he was he was a helicopter pilot among other things, but he was actually going to try and get a hold of a helicopter and come down to see me to see if I was okay and get me out of there. The interesting thing is that it happened on a long weekend. It's like I think Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday had just become a holiday, and official holiday, and maybe a year or two before, and he had, because he had a job with the federal government, they had it off. We didn't. It's like, and I had spent that weekend with him, and then sometime Sunday evening, late afternoon or evening, I drove back home. So just in time for the earthquake. What good timing. And and so he was, he had the day off, but I had to come back home because I had to go to work at Santa Monica Bay Physicians on Monday. And the stupid thing is, once I got a hold of somebody, I think somebody lent me a cell phone sometime later that morning or something, much later that morning. I actually called the company and told them that I was going to be, I wasn't coming in because of the earthquake and stuff. Because when you're in the earthquake thing, when something like that happens, you really kind of only think that it's happening to you in like maybe your neighborhood. It's like, because you don't see it. And I know sometime later that morning, I sat in the car with my dog and was listening to the radio to find out what was going on, because there was no TV. It's like if you were living outside the area, if you were even down the South Bay or something where my parents were, you could see what was going on, see the news coverage and everything on it, but we couldn't see any of it. So anyway, Dave was panicking, and it's like, and I didn't really realize how upset he was and everything, and how concerned. I think he thought maybe I might be dead, or injured or something, and he couldn't get a hold of me. But like, I was living in the moment at the time. I was living, just okay, what do I do next, and so on. So anyway, that's kind of the Dave part of it. And he actually came down, and later, I think it was that following weekend. He actually came down to that weekend or the following weekend. He came down to the valley. He didn't come down to the valley to see me. I mostly went to his place, but he came down to spend time with me there at the house and stuff. So at the the apartment, and to help me out in any way he could. But that was, and I think that was, it's like, and I think it affected him to the point where he thought he'd lost me, and it wasn't probably too much longer after that he asked me to marry him. We did not get married. It's like we were sort of engaged. I never got an engagement ring, but I think it's like, thinking that he was almost going to lose me, or thought he'd lose me. It brought up, how much I meant to him. So anyway, that's the Dave Rosenthal part of it. It's like, and I think there's a few other details, but I can't think of it right now.